Hello, good people. My name is CT Dice, and welcome to the season preview for the 2024-2025 English Premier League season. Um, I'm recording this on Thursday, August 1st, but the season starts August 16th, um, 2024. So I'm just going to do a quick preview for five Premier League teams with the biggest fan bases in England. So I'm just going to do a quick review and we're going to look at a few things here. I'm going to start with Manchester United, actually, Manchester City. And if you look at their quick profile here, just a few things I just wanted to point out going into the season. So last season, Man City was the best team in the league. And also, it was like a fantastic performance by Manchester City as well. Basically, not dropping any points for the final about 8 to 9 matches to secure first position, with Arsenal trailing them by only 2 points. So it was really an impressive performance coming in from last season. After winning, I think this was four straight Premier League titles for Man City right now. So coming up of last season, we would assume they would be the favourites going into this season. The manager for Man City, Pep Guardiola, so nothing changed there. Even though we know that this might be his last season in charge of Manchester City, so we'll see exactly how that goes as well. So just as of August 1st, right now, no major additions and also no major departures as well. Calvin Phillips is back in the preseason game. He played in centre back. Not quite a good performance over there. Still struggling, even though his loan is done. Jan Couto, loan at Girona is also done, and he's back in the team. Personally, I didn't get to watch Jan Couto a lot last season, but the only game that I remember him clearly was the game against Real Madrid, Girona Real Madrid, where Rodrigo made an absolute fool of him, basically. About 3 goals in that game came from a combination of Rodrigo and Jude Bellingham, and just basically Rodrigo running circles around him. That's what I remember. So I don't know if that's actually an important addition for Man City. The other detail I wanted to point out here, the notable players for Man City that was at the Euro and Copa. And the reason I'm actually looking at this start going into the next into the season is because early on in the season, I actually take this start important because the players that played in Euro and Copa returned to training camp a little bit later. They had a really, depending on how far you go, if you're Argentina, Colombia that played in the Copa finals, or your Spain English players that played in the Euro finals, that was a long tournament for you, a lot of pressure, and they might be susceptible to more injuries. So I actually do look at that start when taking a look at a new season, and Man City definitely had a lot of them. It's a good thing you have a lot of them because it means that you have really good players. But the way I look at this is these teams have a very good chance to struggle early on in the season, while these players actually get back into the flow of things. Basically, for Man City, you had Akanji, for Switzerland, Vardiol, Kovacic, Rodri for Spain, um, Walker for England, Phil Foden, England, John Stones, England, Nathan Ake, the Netherlands, Kevin De Bruyne for Belgium, and Jeremy Doku as well for Belgium, Cancelo Portugal, Bernardo Silva Portugal, Matheus Nunes, Ruben Dias Portugal, and Julian Alvarez for Man City. So looking at basically that's a lot of very important players that were in Euro and Copa. I personally think they're going to struggle to start the season. But when you think of Man City struggling, it doesn't mean they're going to have bad results. It's a few draws here, unexpected draws maybe in the first 5-6 games of the season. Definitely not anything they can rebound from. But I would say there's a lot of players, a lot of things can go wrong injury wise in this situation, and also the fact that a lot of these players might not be in full shape once the season kicks off here, either coming to training camp late or a lot of the going deep into the European Championship. So I'm actually looking at that. One thing I would say for Man City is that they're favored to win the league, but I wouldn't say I like them too much to win the league. They've done this now consistently. It's really tough to keep doing this over and over again. So I would be looking very closely at opportunities here that they might actually slip up in the league. But very strong team, very deep. Finished first last year, ended with 91 points. Pep Guardiola. Well, I always think he's a really good coach, but I don't think he's as good as it is made to be as top three manager. Definitely not my top three in any way. But I really think they have a chance to do well. They're susceptible to injury. Probably going to start the season a little bit up and down. But the good thing is that they still have the same manager, with other teams actually having transitions in managers. So that actually helps Man City here to build on something. So basically, what do I think about Man City? I say they still compete to win the league, first, second. That range struggles to start early in the season. Could have dropped some points that you wouldn't actually think they would. I just think so many players playing in top continental tournaments for their country over here. And now for the team preview for Arsenal Football Club. Actually, that's interesting. Last season, Arsenal finished second, pushed Man City to the very end, but Man City found a way to make sure that they were good, and they actually held on to win the title. But this is the second time. Arteta is pretty close. So there will be big expectations for Arsenal this season. So that will be interesting to see how that goes. They ended with 89 points, 2 behind Manchester City for the title. The manager is still Mikel Arteta. I think he has done a pretty good job, in my opinion, a little bit faster in the project for Arsenal. So basically, it's win the league now because you're so close. You don't want all the other teams basically catching up. So I think personally that Arsenal is in a good position this year. The additions that they have had so far, so August 1st, is Riccardo Calafiori, 45 million euros from Bologna. Bologna did very well in Italy last year and secured European play, so there were a lot of good players actually moving to bigger clubs on that team. They also signed David Raya for 31.9 million euros after loaning him from Brentford last year, so basically signed him. No notable departures so far, and when you look at their notable Euro and Copa players, it's mainly Havertz for Germany, Jorginho basically for Italy, Bukayo Saka for England, William Saliba for France, Jacob or Jacob Kiwior, Leandro Trossard, Zinchenko, Gabriel Martinelli for Brazil, and Gabriel for Brazil. So I would say that's a shorter list than Man City, so I wouldn't expect this to be a whole lot of issues for Arsenal going into the season. So it will be interesting here seeing what they do for that. And when I look at Arsenal's schedule for the season, they start with Wolves, Aston Villa, Brighton, and Spurs for their first 4 games. So apart from Aston Villa, they might have games there that they can actually start the season a little better. But I still look at all these top teams and I'm like, you want to be wary about their players playing in big Euro continental competitions against some of these teams that might not have as many and has been in training camp and working on a system a little bit longer with their top players. So for Arsenal, I think they're going to compete for the season, first, second, basically. I think for Arsenal players, they know it's about winning the league this season, being so close twice. I would say they would be thinking that they're pretty close at this point to actually get it done. So basically for Arsenal and Arsenal fans, I understand the expectation. I think they would be solid, right? Maybe a few draws here early in the season, but generally this would be a solid team. Mikel Arteta got them playing, in my opinion, good football in Europe as well. So that would be exciting to see. I like their transfers. It's still very early. A lot of transfers are going to come in before the trade deadline, but I do like what Arsenal is doing here as well. And to the next team, we're going to look at Liverpool. So last season, Liverpool ended third position with 82 points, but most significantly, the great Jurgen Klopp is no longer at Liverpool. So on comes Anslot as the new head coach coming from Feyenoord in the Netherlands. So for Liverpool, no major additions yet as of August 1st. Departures, Joel Matip and Thiago, basically contracts are done and they let them walk out of the club. But that's interesting. So notable Euro and Copa players. Liverpool did have a lot of players in big continental competitions, so that actually worries me a bit. Dominic Szoboszlai, Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold for England, Konate for France, Gravenberch for Netherlands, Cody Gakpo, Virgil van Dijk for Netherlands, Diego Jota for Portugal, Luis Diaz for Colombia, Alisson Becker for Brazil, and Alexis McAllister for Argentina. So that might be a concern for me. But when it comes to Liverpool, couple of concerns. Losing Jurgen Klopp is not an easy thing to do, or moving on from him or replacing him as the coach of Liverpool. So Anslot would have a lot of work cut out for him. But as he said himself in his press conference, this is a really good team he's taking over. So nobody's going to be giving him all that time to actually settle in. So he better get to work early, get the players in and going as well. I think also in the Copa Americas was Darwin Nunez for Uruguay. So yes, Liverpool did have a lot of players out in continental competitions. So in that accent, basically. But I think the main thing will be the adjustment for the coach. We don't know how the coach will do, so I'm not expecting that it's going to be a fantastic year for Liverpool. But they do have a lot of good players, and if the coach is any good, then I expect Liverpool to actually start the season off on a strong foot. Yeah, and for Liverpool, I think it's going to be interesting because if you look at that squad, I would say they should be challenging for first two with Arsenal and Man City. The transition of coaches is always interesting to me. No matter how good the coach is, it's very tough coming in and implementing the system and getting the players all ready. Having a lot of players in the Copa and Euros might not give him enough times to get familiar with this players that were out on big continental competitions, so that might actually take a minute. I still think if he's a good coach, top 2, top 3, playing really well for most of the season. If he needs some adjustment to the Premier League, then you might find a few slip-ups. But this is the thing. Liverpool is still a target to slip up early up in the season because of a lot of those players going to major continental and being major contributors in their team as well. So I think when I look at Liverpool, that's one thing that comes to my mind is how many players that they had in the Copas, being a lot, and also the fact that they have a new coach, right? The transition period for that. And then now moving on to Chelsea. For Chelsea, they did come 6th position, horrible season. Well, in the development phase, so it's tough to actually tell. For this year, they've made a few additions to their team, basically getting new young players in, getting Tosin Adarabioyo for free as well. But they did sign Kieran Dewsbury Hall from Leicester for 35.4 million euros. For last season, they finished 6th. They had 63 total points, and the new manager is Enzo Maresca, taking over from Mauricio Pochettino as well. For departures, Lewis Hall, Ian Matson went to Aston Villa, Thiago Silva and Hakim Ziyech contracts were over and they were allowed to walk away. For notable Euro and Copa contributors on the team was Armando Broja for Albania, Cucurella for Spain, Cole Palmer for England, Conor Gallagher for England, Mikhailo Mudryk for Ukraine, Moises Caicedo for Ecuador, and Enzo Fernandez for Argentina, which are the Copa America champions for that. So I would say Chelsea did have some players, but not a lot. All major players actually played for their country, but they still have a lot of young players that did not play a lot for their countries over the summer that would have had time. what is the expectations for Chelsea? They just changed coaches. Sixth, anywhere top four, excellent season. Top six, that would be the expectation, in my opinion, for this team. Still in the transition phase, and a new manager coming in to take over the team. Maybe they can actually build with that. So, but when I look at Chelsea, there's a lot of work to be done. Defensively, there's a lot they need to figure out in Chelsea. Offensively, Cole Palmer is good, but Jackson needs to start scoring goals. If he doesn't, then Chelsea is basically going to still be stuck where they currently are. And we'll see what moves are made till the end of the transfer window. This is still very early previews, 2 weeks before the season starts, just a few pre-season games played at the moment. So we'll see how that goes for Chelsea. But I wouldn't be too expectant of great results for Chelsea. Not that they've done anything impressive over the last 2 years anyway. And finally, and also now for Manchester United preview for this 2024-2025 season, and as of August 1st, 2024, when the season starts August 16th for Manchester United. Last season they ended 8th position, 60 points, extremely disappointing. The manager Erik ten Hag, he was brought back by the team to continue what he started. The interesting thing is I'm not sure what he started, but I guess he won 2 cups for Manchester United, and that's good enough to return him as well as the manager of the team. For Man United, 2 additions as of today's date, major additions. Lenny Yoro for 62 million from euros from Lille, and Joshua Zirkzee for the 2.5 million from Bologna as well. So those would be useful additions for Man City. Lenny Yoro, it's a young player, but would contribute right away for Manchester United. Departures: Martial and Varane are gone. Van der Beek, Willy Cambeala, and Greenwood gone to Marseille for 26 million euros. And for Manchester United, the notable players that actually played in Euro and Copa: McTominay for Scotland, Eriksen, Højlund, Luke Shaw for England, Kobe Mainoo, Diogo Dalot, and Bruno Fernandes for Portugal, Garnacho, and Lisandro Martinez all had major contributions for their teams in continental competition. So that's a decent amount, but I don't think enough to destabilize whatever Man U was going to do. Last season they dealt with a lot of injuries, so maybe a little bit more able to handle injuries as a team. Returning Ten Hag, they do have an advantage of continuity, not a new voice in the team. So that might actually help Manchester United against other teams that might be transitioning to a new manager. In general, not to top 4, excellent season. Probably the expectation the club would have at this stage is a top 4 finish. I would see them closer to 5-6 in this league. Teams like Aston Villa, Tottenham, and Newcastle will be taking a few things to the teams trying to make the top 4, top 6. So that would be an interesting battle. And I think those teams have a better chance of starting the season better. Whether they can hold up or not, we're actually going to see. But Manchester United, 60 points, 8th position last year, kept their manager, 2 players, transfers going well so far. And I would say they must be feeling good for them to retain the manager. So we'll see how that goes. But I don't mind personally if they struggle to make it a better watch for Manchester United to struggle in the English Premier League for me. So basically just a quick look to start and get ready for the Premier League season, see what's out there for the top. Well, I wouldn't call them the top 5 teams. 2 teams here: Chelsea 6th position, Manchester United 8th position. But I would say the biggest fan bases in England, and we'll see how the season plays out. The Premier League is always exciting. Can't wait for it to begin and get right into it. For anyone watching this video, thank you so much. We're going to be having a lot of things coming up throughout the season. on this channel for City Dice Sports. A lot of soccer talk, basketball talk, and a lot of American football talk as well on the channel. Different things coming up. Excited about it. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comments, whatever. Let's get into it. Sports is beautiful. Sports is fun. Can't wait to get into it. For everyone, peace. Thank you.